NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and rock.
Welcome, Notts Rockers, to NRC-017 over YouTube. Yes, got a great little chat today with someone I fully respect within the music industry. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ding that bell to be notified when we release more videos. And don't forget to check out the podcast on a podcast player for more content and band music. Let's get to the chat. Today, I've got Tara Rawson.
Rawson.
Still can't pronounce anything right. Do this every time about everything. But we're talking today, I believe, about audio and the live audio industry because she actually runs the live rig that's at the Tap and Tumbler.
Yes.
So would you like to introduce yourself and say hello?
Hi, I'm Tara Rawson. I am the head sound engineer at the Tap and Tumbler. And I freelance at another couple of venues in Nottingham as well, and for a couple of bands.
There we go, and we'll delve into that more. I'm certain on that one. Right then, would you like to give us a quote of inspiration? This is why I ask you to read the questions.
Yeah,
she was like,
yeah.
I'm just going to freeball it. Let's see what happens.
We might have to come back to that one.
No, we can do if you want.
Let's leave that for now.
All right. Are you originally from Notts?
I am, yes. Can you not tell by my accent?
Well, I get all different types of accents. No one can ever usually tell where I'm from. So
Where are you from?
Down south.
Down south.
Down south. See, everyone says that to me. Down south. Is that what you say up there? So whereabouts in Notts are you from then?
I was born in Stapleford, lived in Beeston. I live in Sneinton now. Spent a bit of time living in Ilkeston. Ilkeston's technically Derbyshire. We don't talk about that anymore.
We won't talk about that. Out of the lot, what would you say was your favourite place to live in so far?
Probably Sneinton, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's nice, staggering distance from town. There's a lot of arty people living there. I really like what they're doing with the creative quarter now as well. And there's a lot of music people around there.
Yeah.
So it's probably not the... it's a slightly rougher location than places that I've lived before. Yeah. A bit rough around the edges, but I think it's got...
Yeah, no, my sister-in-law would prefer to live there, because she's lived in two different locations.
Yeah.
But she absolutely loves it, and she loves it for the fact that they've got markets there, and she can get fresh fruit and veg, and what's it? The Asian.
Yeah, packed foods.
Yes, she's very into all that.
You get loads of good spices there. Top tip.
Right, let's delve into your profession.
Okay.
What do you do in the live sound? Start with, and then we'll go on to bands, I guess.
In the live world, what, like
yes.
the process that I have to follow, or
what
I
just
do?
Generally tell me what you do.
So at the Tap and Tumbler, I manage the team of sound engineers there, so I do the rota for all the gigs that are coming up. Arrange maintenance. If I can't fix it myself, then we have an AV company that handle that kind of thing.
Okay.
Obviously do training with the sort of younger, greener engineers and a bit of shadowing if they need it.
Yeah.
And then on an evening, sound checking them up, running the show.
So
I studied sound, light and live event technology at University of Derby with the grand idea of doing mega tours with mega bands all around the world. And then I realised that I was a bit of a homebody and I didn't really want to be that far away from my family.
Fair play.
So just after I graduated, it was when the credit crunch suddenly started being called the recession. And it was literally like almost overnight. Everybody that I knew that got a job straight out of uni was basically laid off.
Yeah.
So I got a job in a call centre, not having the confidence to go into full-time work, like that current climate.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that confident in my abilities at the time.
As in the audio side of things.
Yeah, exactly. So I got a job at a call centre, which was horrifying, but, you know, that pushed me a little bit more in my own field. and got a job as a freelance sound engineer at the Maze. All kind of went from there, really.
Oh, right. So you worked up the Maze as well?
I did, yeah. I've been at the Maze. Still do little bits and bobs there now, almost 10 years.
Oh, wow. Well, that's
been a while.
That's a lot of experience.
It is, yeah.
What are the pieces of equipment that you most deal with then?
What do you mean, sorry?
As in, what actually makes the sound come out? Because some people are obviously really green and they don't know anything. They turn up to a venue and just reckon this sound appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, okay. So am I really like going from like basic level?
You can go as basic as you want, I think.
Okay, so obviously microphones, into cables, they go into a stage box, which is connected to a desk. I started on an analog desk at the Maze, which I absolutely still adore to this day. It's an old Allen and Heath thing that's falling to pieces, and I love it.
And that's still up there now?
That's still there. Well,
I have seen that a few times.
They did get a slightly better version a few years ago than the one that we originally had there, but it's just reliable. You can see everything when you get there. Whereas the other venues that I work at, done some stuff at Contemporary, Nottingham Contemporary, Up and Tumbler, and more recently the Bodega. They're all digital desks, which everything's different. Everywhere you go, the settings are different. You have to learn to use them. It's like learning a new operating system.
Yeah.
That can be a bit.
As in a computer operating system.
Yeah.
A bit like Windows versus Mac sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, as I showed you the picture just before the podcast, I have a Soundmaster analog desk.
Yeah.
I love it to bits. It cost me 50 quid. It does 20 channels, which I'm really happy with. 4 I use as kind of my effects return. And I throw everything else, recording and summing, through the main 16 channels.
Yeah.
And I have a bit of an issue with sound engineers. People say, oh, I'm into analog. They go, oh, it sounds warm. And I kind of hate that saying, personally.
Yeah.
Because I don't really hear it myself.
No, I agree with you, actually. The analog digital argument is something that I used to have with my friend Loz. He used to run Mester's studio, which was almost exclusively analog equipment. He's very purist about it. It had reel to reel, like we're talking like serious vintage kit, you know, like
reel to reel tape decks.
Exciting stuff. Yeah. And we talked a lot about it, and I was like, mate, I don't really hear the difference, to be honest. So I started looking into things like so vinyl is very common. People very commonly say they prefer the sound of vinyl. And I looked into it, and they do actually master vinyl differently.
How they master CDs and MP3s.
Yeah. So it's something to do with, and I don't know all the complete details of it, but basically it's really hard to recreate bass frequencies, so your bottom end on vinyl. So they have to sort of boost that massively in the mix and overcompensate for it, which is why vinyl tends to sound a little bit warmer. But generally speaking, you could probably recreate that digitally. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, like I was saying before, I bought recently Behringer compressors. And the only reason why I bought the cheap ones in the hardware is because the computer does so much now. You've got plugins that emulate everything.
Yeah.
And you can get the sound you want. You can even get that warm sound.
Yeah.
But like you're saying with vinyl, a guy at work today said underneath the malt cross, they've got a Neumann cutting lathe for vinyl that I didn't know about. So I really need to go and check that out.
Yeah, me too. Let's go now.
Well, we can finish the podcast first, hopefully.
And my beer.
But and the beer. Yes, actually, I've forgotten to mention, we're in the Cromwell Snug in the Salutation. So we're sat in here. It's got lovely new carpets in it, which is actually making the sound a hell of a lot better. Right, so when it comes to the analog side of things, so you said about the fact that you've got different bits of equipment, different places. And then once it goes through the desk, then it obviously goes to the PA.
Yep.
And then comes out.
That's where the trouble starts.
Yeah. So have you ever touched on recording studio recording?
Yes, so I just finished my job as a commercial producer for Global Radio, so making radio commercials.
Oh, yeah.
In a recording environment, and started at Games Workshop as an audiobook producer. But I've never actually recorded any music. I've never recorded bands or anything like that.
No?
That always seemed a bit, I don't know, a bit of a dark art to me. How I ended up in the studio in the first place, I'm not really quite sure, because I'm very much a live girl. I like it to be compressed and like short bursts, lots of excitement, rather than that sort of somebody once described studio as Chinese water torture. Is it Japanese
a little
water?
bit, yeah. Chinese
water torture. Yeah. So that constant just drip, and that's more what studio is like. Whereas live is almost like just an explosion of shit happening all at once. Studio engineers tend to not flourish very well in the live situation because they have that time to.
Yeah, that is.
Normally, they can sort of be a bit luxurious and they can fix problems at their leisure. Whereas live, you've got like one chance to get it right.
Yeah, which I must admit, being a studio person myself, it's like, you've got the time. I wouldn't like to do live, even though I keep thinking about dabbling in it every now and then. When a band starts, you have the best part of a couple of seconds, maybe 10 seconds if you're lucky, to make sure the sound is there and that they're sounding their best. Whereas in a studio, everyone sets up, then each instrument for a little while, and you get a tone, and then you get them to play together and record. Yeah. So when you are in a live environment, what would you say is the most fun aspect of it?
I really like the interaction with the bands. It can be a tricky thing. It's that kind of ongoing joke that, this job would be great without the customers kind of side of things. Yeah. Like musicians can be very challenging people to work with because they're essentially handing their art over to you, and there has to be a lot of trust there. But they don't always know what they're talking about. That's the thing. So trying to explain to somebody why something can't be done or why it isn't working, that can be challenging. But if you can create a really good working relationship, which I've managed to do that most times now. It's taken a long time to be able to build that confidence and rapport with a musician and be able to sort of gel really, really quickly. But that's the bit that's I find the most fun, actually, is just getting to know people and chatting about their gear and chatting shit about what gigs they've played recently. Yeah. And just having a really fun time. Like sometimes, to be honest, sometimes the music even comes secondary to that now. That was originally the pull. That's what got me into it in the first place, was the music. But you realise after 10 years of doing sound, the reality is you're probably only going to see 10% of music that you're actually going to enjoy or something that you would pay to go and see. Yes. So you have to find something else in that's joyful. And for me, that's just creating something great. Yeah, socialising, but also making musicians feel at ease on stage, making sure that they have just as great a time as you are, and just making it as non-stressful for everybody as possible. I'm a musician as well, so I understand both ways. All right. And I think that's a problem with a lot of live engineers is they are very techie people rather than arty people, and they don't necessarily understand the opposite role. And that's, I think, where sound engineers get a bit of a reputation for being grumpy and difficult and very rigid. Yeah.
Oh, just naughty Nunu going past, one of the street cleaners.
Oh, hey.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from on that one, because from a studio point of view, I have to remember it's not my music. Yeah. And I know a lot of people have practiced a lot of years and been working a lot of years, and they want to say, oh, it's representing them. It's also representing the band. Yeah. But I think a lot of people forget it's their music. And I've been saying it to a band recently because we recorded their album and then they want to remix a few tracks. And I'm perfectly happy with that. But they were a little worried of coming back to me and saying, oh, we want to do this. And I did have to sit them down and I had to kind of shout at the guitarist almost. And Daz is listening now, I'm sure. I just had to say, dude, it's your music. If you've got something to say it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to try and drag myself apart from the norm on that one. Yeah. I'm at least going to try.
Yeah. It is difficult. I get it, because started at Bodega recently, and they have a lot of touring bands, so they have touring managers that come with that. Yeah. And sometimes they bring their own engineers, and they have a very specific idea of what they want. And it's kind of difficult sometimes a little bit to not be precious about it. Yeah. And there is a part of me inside that sort of prickles a bit. I'm like, I know how to do this. Don't tell me how to do my job. But I'm like, no, we are a team. We work together. Yeah. But I don't necessarily think it should all be musician, because they sometimes want things that can't be achieved. or they want something that isn't really that great. I've worked with a lot of particularly quite young musicians who've set their amps up really, really badly and they sound really awful. I'm like, dude, do you mind if I just
Were they a
show
Line
you
6 spider?
something? No comment, mate. No comment. But sometimes it's like, like when it sounds like a wasp in a tin can, you're like, come on now. Like, I know there's some bottom end in this amp. Work with me here. So there is sort of like an educational, it's a two-way street, you have to be a team. You have to be working cohesively together.
Yes.
And I think a lot of sound engineers do forget that. And they're like, no, well, I want to do it this way. Or I don't want, this ridiculous long delay times. Like, mate, if that's their sound, that's their sound. It doesn't really matter if you think it sounds shit.
Yeah.
If that's how they want it, suggest what you think would sound better.
Yep.
And demonstrate it as well. That's my usual favourite thing, is like, if they're being really adamant about it, well, we'll do it your way. Then we'll do it my way and we'll see what sounds the best. They usually choose my way.
No, that's cool, but that is the best response ever. I really like the fact that you do that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's something that I've learned to do with people, is say, look, this is how you want it. This is what I'm thinking. So we'll try both.
Choose, yeah.
And I don't know what it's like in live, but obviously in the studio you can sit down and you can A/B it.
Yeah.
And people can make their own mind up there, which is brilliant. And I think the subject that I'm skirting around at the moment is the biggest thing with musicians is ego.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I play guitar, I play drums, I play bass, and I used to sing, but I don't now. I smoke too much. But yeah, ego is something that I think comes up a lot, especially in the audio industry.
Yeah.
And everyone has to remember that even if the biggest person in the room's got a big ego, so has everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and I think that's the biggest thing why I couldn't do live.
Yeah.
I really couldn't.
Yeah, I'm the opposite way around. I think if I've got a real arrogant shitbag who's driving me absolutely crazy, I've only got to be stuck with them for 40 minutes, whereas you've got to deal with them for 3 days potentially.
Well, exactly.
That's why I like live, mate.
Just send them out the door at the end of the night.
Do you know what? There's not that many, and the ones that I have had, I could probably count on one hand over the years where I actually came away saying I would never work with that person again. Most of the people that I've had a bit of a tumultuous relationship with at the start of soundcheck, by the end of it, it's all good. It's all fine. You just got to work to win them over. Charm offensive.
Yeah. So you said you're a musician.
Yep.
What do you play?
Well, apparently not a proper musician. I'm a singer.
Oh, you're a singer?
One of those types. I play little bits of other things, but not for a very long time. I could play a bit of drums, guitar, and flute at one point. Not so much anymore. Tiny bit of keys.
So are you actually in a band at the moment then?
Yes, I am. Me and my bandmates, we used to be in Hey Quadraphonic together, but unfortunately we had to say goodbye to that project after our drummer left.
Right.
We saw that as an opportunity to start from scratch. So we were doing sort of kind of like a heavy funk, if that is even such a thing, like a heavier version of funk music.
Isn't that known as groove metal?
No, because there was nothing metal about it.
Right.
It was just like,
rock.
I don't know. I don't know what it was, mate. It was.
It's just heavy funk. I suppose we've just created a genre. Punk funk. I like that.
But yeah, we saw it as an opportunity to go in a different direction. We sort of inherited that style from my band before then.
Yeah.
And then realised that none of us really like funk or jazz music anymore, and we're all sort of more into sort of bands like Tool and sort of
very progressive,
more interesting progressive kind of music. Yeah. So we decided, do you know what, this would be a really good opportunity to start from scratch. We've literally only just given the band a name, which is Good Me, Bad Me.
Oh, right.
And I'm also doing some jamming with Boss Magnet, who are a Nottingham funk outfit, very traditional funk. And we're just sort of seeing where that's going at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe that will become a permanent fixture. It's kind of too early to tell.
Cool.
Enjoying it. It's diverse and it's very challenging. But
when you get some songs together, make sure you email me the song and it'll go on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
That goes for anyone out there. Send me a song. I've actually been sat here for about an hour and a half before the interview, just doing the admin and making sure that I've got each band whose song's been played and everything like that.
Nice.
But I'm getting lots of different bands, which is really nice. So definitely send me some music
Oh, well,
when you record
when it finally gets done.
And on the other side of my card is my studio details.
Nice plug.
Well, why not?
Where is that studio again?
Baseford. Right then. So, alternative scene. I'm guessing you class yourself as alternative.
I do, yes.
Brilliant. So, what got you into the alternative scene then?
Oh, mate, it was that long ago, I don't even remember.
Well, you don't look that old.
Stop it. I started going to Rock City when I was 14, though, and I'm 35 now, so that's quite a long time.
So you're not that old, you know.
Whippersnapper.
Same age as me, so.
Well, I don't know. My parents went to rock music when me and my sister were growing up. We used to have it in the car a lot. Meatloaf and Led Zeppelin and Queen and that kind of the stuff that was around, typical kind of dad rock stuff, basically. Yeah. Obviously didn't have as much of an impact on my sister as it did me because she went down the R&B route, very sort of different kind of style to me, totally. Yeah. But we still have the shared love for the old classics. She just doesn't like to admit it, I don't think.
Oh, right.
But yeah, my older cousin was massively into Cannibal Corpse, and she was very gothy. That sort of put the fear of God into me at a very young age. Right. But I think it was just all these things sort of led me down this path, melting pot of influence, I guess.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. And a lot of people, I'm just going to pick up on a few things, like Queen. Everybody seems to have had Queen in their life and has led them down the alternative path.
Mate, I feel sorry for people that didn't have Queen in their life.
Same here, definitely. Right. Is there any special mentions or more details about yourself that people probably wouldn't know, like an extreme hobby or something? Beanie Baby collecting, I suppose.
No Beanie Babies to mention. I did play roller derby for almost 10 years, and I'm on hiatus at the moment.
Right.
Needed to take a little bit of a break. Had a lot of stuff
hockey on...
Rugby on roller skates.
Oh, rugby on roller skates.
There's no ball. You just hit people.
You just hit people?
Yeah. Not needlessly. Well, sometimes needlessly. Some people do. I don't.
That's
far
very
too
interesting.
Nice for that.
So, right, okay, so you do it on roller skates.
Yeah.
It's a bit like rugby, but with no ball.
No, the person is the ball, so you have somebody who plays as a jammer. They're a point scorer, and they score a point for every opposition player they pass. Do you remember the game British Bulldog? We used to play at school.
Where everyone used to line up in a wall
and you had to get through. So your jammers, you're going all the same direction, but your jammers have to get through, but the blockers, it's their job to try and stop them from scoring. So like positional blocking or, out walloping them. So yeah, I used to play the part of the jammer, and when people ask me, where is the ball? I'm like, I am the fucking ball.
Okay.
And I've been kicked everywhere.
Right. So you obviously get hurt quite a lot in this, I'm guessing. So is it knee pads, elbow pads?
Yeah, knee pads, elbow pads, wrist guard, helmet, mouth guard. Mouth guard's very important.
A hell of a lot of bubble wrap.
Yeah. Might be a bit sweaty, to be honest, but...
Well, yeah. Wow, I haven't even heard of this game.
No? Okay.
No, I haven't, and I'm honestly going to look this up. And I do put show notes into this, so when I find some information, if you're not sure what we're talking about, I'm definitely going to put some more information in the show notes.
Yeah.
What team, or do you call it a team?
So at the moment, I play for Sheffield Steel Roller Derby.
Right.
So that's a bit of a trek for me.
Does Nottingham not have a team?
Yeah, there's a story there, mate, but that's for a different
day. Right, okay. You can tell me later off mic.
Nottingham have two roller derby teams, Nottingham Roller Derby and the Hellfire Harlots, and I was I skated for Hellfire Harlots for a long time, but the less said about that, the better. I think.
That's fine. Well, we'll move on a little bit.
Moving swiftly on.
Right. I want to aim this more towards your live sound experience stuff. So what hurdles have you personally faced in live sound, and how did you overcome them? Personally or professionally? So, it's up to you which.
Personally, there's one that comes up quite a lot that you probably expect, and that is that I am a female working in a man's job.
I'm sorry, I didn't notice. Honestly, didn't notice. That's my autism playing up.
Is it my dulcet tones? Yeah, that's been a bit of a tricky one. I was very naive when I left uni, and very much like, sexism isn't a thing anymore. So it'd be bloody ridiculous. It'll be fine. I'll just go into a job. It'll be cool. Do you know what? In 10 years, there's not been a lot of coolness.
I was just
When it
going to
comes to
say, have you
gender
noticed
stuff.
it getting better? Or
I've noticed it get worse recently, but I suspect it's because previously I've been working in venues like the Maze, Nottingham Contemporary, and I've been working with much younger musicians.
Yeah.
At the Tap, I do tend to get, there's a lot of covers bands there, and they do tend to be sort of men in their late 30s to sort of to retirement age. So you're talking a different generation of guys who have been gigging since they were young. They've never seen a female engineer before, and they have some slightly dubious ideas of what is considered to be a compliment, inverted commas.
Oh, right.
Compliment / unwanted comment, really.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's got worse. I think it's just I am now around more people that are a bit more old school about things. And a lot of the time they don't mean anything by it, but if you've had a bit of a shit day, you're just like, oh, I just can't be bothered with this right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're a lot prettier than my last sound engineer. And you're supposed to take it in good humour because it's not meant as a nasty thing to say, but it just feels a bit unnecessary sometimes. Like, why are you reducing my skills down to how I look? And it's a bit irritating sometimes. I don't want to sound like one of those like chip on the shoulder kind of people because I'm not like that at all. But it can be a bit irritating, and that's a very light example of it.
I'm honestly a little bit shocked.
Yeah,
I'm not too shocked because I listen to a lot of podcasts myself about the audio industry, and it's very rare that a woman comes on a podcast. To be honest, you're the second female that's actually come onto this podcast.
Right.
I'm emailing people, I'm talking to people, and there's loads of people in the pipelines that I'm going to get on it. But yeah, like you said, it's definitely a male-dominated industry, and it's a bit of a shame, really, because there's the likes of Emma Jones that runs a open mic night.
Yeah.
I think she's absolutely brilliant at what she does, and her sound's good when she's actually putting the production together for it. I've known other female engineers, I've known female artists, I've known recorders and composers, and it's a shame that it's still a topic in my eyes.
Yeah, it's
like
a weird one.
Yeah, like I said, I'm on the autistic scale, so most of the time I don't even notice the difference between people.
Yeah, of course.
It's just, but it is something you do notice.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I think I was one of 3 girls on my course, and there was a lot of people on my course. It was a big old group. I don't know exactly how many, but the lectures that we had that were shared with other sort of technically based courses, we had sort of shared sound technology or acoustics lectures or something, stuff like that. Yeah. There was a handful of girls in these giant lecture theatres. And I don't want to say that a lot of people will say, well, women don't have any interest in technical studies. And I don't honestly know. It's kind of a chicken and an egg thing for me. I don't really know if it's women don't go into those sort of areas because they don't feel included, which is how a lot of educational authorities see it. And they're trying to do things to sort of make it a more inviting, I think is better, more inclusive. Or it genuinely is women just don't seem to have that much interest in that side of things. I really couldn't tell you. That's a real nature nurture kind of thing, and these ideas are ingrained from such a young age. It's impossible almost to figure out where these ideas come from and whether there is an actual gender bias to those kind of roles. I don't know, but certainly there aren't as many. At the Tap and Tumblr, I actually have 2 female engineers that work for me, and that's almost unheard of. We're almost a complete female team.
Do you want to say who they are, and hopefully I'll get them on at some point?
Yeah, Natalie and Sam. So Natalie Palmer.
Yes. Yes, I do know her.
Samantha Storer as well. Samantha is the most recent one to come on board at the Tap.
Haven't met her yet. Hopefully at some point I'll get her on this podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll get more women on it.
Yes.
And see if we can swing the balance.
Yay, let's do it.
Okay. Do you want to give us a professional side of, a more technical hurdle?
Oh,
If there's anything you can think of?
where do you want to start?
I don't know. I don't know.
I had a really terrible gig at the Contemporary. I think it was the last gig that I did there. I don't know if that's why. But basically, the music programmer, so the guy who books all the bands to go there, he was supposed to turn off the main house lights in there, and he unplugged a four-way that the digital desk was plugged into. So it was basically switched off without being shut down properly, which corrupted the entire show file that I had for the band. And the sound check was just finished. But the way they used to run things there at Contemporary was they'd have this really strict time schedule of like, this is what time we're sound checking this band.
Yeah.
And there was no room for deviation. So every venue I've worked at before, I'm like, I will take the time to get the band right. And if I have to line check everybody else, like just make sure everything's the right level, then I'd rather do that than do half a job on everybody sort of thing. But basically there was no time to go back and correct or even check the show file was still working. So when it came to their gig, to their actual set, there was feedback everywhere. There was nothing coming out the front of house because the routing in the desk was completely wrong. Like I had to load a new show file, so that's kind of like the template that everything works from. The beauty of digital. You don't have this with analog. It's just
I was just about
knobs.
to say.
It's just what the knobs will stay in the same place if you switch it off and switch it back on. But it was awful, and the problem was the band that I had on did not take kindly to it. I had spoken to them to explain what had happened, and for the first couple of songs, I'm going to be busking it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to get things back the way they were. So please hang in there and be patient. Unfortunately, it was way worse than I first thought, and I had to kind of quick thinking, emergency fix. I'm going to load a completely new show and just start from scratch.
Yeah.
But they didn't take it very well, and there was lots of not very nice words said about me, damn microphones, to the crowd, at which point I'm pouring with sweat and freaking the fuck out.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was... I wanted to go and sit in a hole and cry afterwards. I was like, I can't do this job anymore. I'm not cut out for this. Is ridiculous. But, I fixed it. It may not have been as fast as I'd hoped it to be, but this was literally my first foray into digital. I'd never used a digital desk before, so I was already a bit like, oh, nervous. God, this is a lot of kit for one person to manage on her own.
Obviously, I don't want to know the name of the band because I don't want to get into litigation with anybody.
Oh, God, I'd love to tell you as well.
Well, you can tell me after, and I just can't say it on the podcast. Okay. But I do want to make this clear to any bands that are listening here. Be nice to your sound engineer. They do a fucking hard job. Yeah, stressful. Well, this is the thing. Like, if everything goes perfectly, nobody notices the sound engineer. Everybody says, the band were brilliant. If they sound shit, then it's the sound engineer's fault. And it could just have been the band having a bad day, but they will always blame the sound engineer. I think a quote comes to mind here. Go on. When I do 1,000 things right, nobody remembers. When I do one thing wrong, nobody forgets. It's true, mate. It's so true. It's very true. You're very out there in that respect. You hear one little bit of feedback and you just see like all the heads in the room turn around and look at you like, oh my God, I can't be everywhere at once. Like, give me a break, man. Right. Anyway, soon as we're getting to the end of our pints and we're in a pub, let's have a break for 5 minutes. Okay. Have a chill, and then we'll get back for the second half, which is Not Some Rock. Hey. Right, welcome back. We've got ourselves another fresh pint. I'm drinking the Harvest Pale. Good choice. There's a 10-2 in here, and you're having yourself a Carlin, aren't you? Yeah, which is disgraceful, really. But... Yeah, well, it's better than Foster's. I'm not a classy bird, what can I tell you? Right then. So this round's Not Some Rock. It's more about the Nottingham side of things and the alternative scene within it. So, what do you love and enjoy about Notts? Not so much the alternative scene, but the Nottingham itself or Nottinghamshire. The city as a whole. I go through big phases of this because I've lived in Nottingham my whole life. And when I first started coming into Nottingham, which was like a big thing as a teenager, like being able to go shopping on your own for the first time, going out drinking the first time. I thought it was amazing. Everything about it was brilliant. It was when you still had skateboarders in the square. Everything was just cool. Everything was just so cool.
And then after spending a lot of time here, I started to get a bit jaded with it. I'm like, oh God, we've got nothing here. Shit, everything about it, shit. But I've kind of come back to the original.
Full circle.
Yeah. Do you know what? What made me appreciate it is going out with somebody who lives in Derby, because they just don't have the same amount of cultural stuff going on, like cool shit. Like, we have gigs almost every night of the week. We have art installations and exhibitions, and there's stuff. You can find something cool to do here every single night of the week. It doesn't
almost every single night.
Almost every night.
Because I do a gig guide now on the podcast.
Yeah.
So basically all people have to do is add the user account and invite me.
Yeah. Okay.
But so there are a few nights that we don't do stuff, but it's slowly getting to 24/7.
Yeah, but at the same time, we also have like lots of nice bars to drink in as well.
Yep.
And there are some really great places to eat. There are some great places to shop. There are some great sort of independent businesses popping up all over the place. I suppose the city council have probably got some hand in that. I don't really know. I know that it got quite difficult having a business in Hockley for a while because of business rates and stuff like that, but it seems to be turning back a bit more to how it was originally with more independent businesses. There's a lot of cool shit going on in Nottingham, I think. There's lots of really amazing musicians and artists and just people with cool ideas who want to do cool things. And that's only a good thing in my eyes.
I think that's an amazing thing, and this is why I started the podcast, is not only for my own personal benefit of actually getting out and recording people as much as I possibly could. It was the fact that I do love this city. And like you said, it's cool.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny how it took going out with somebody that's not from here for me to realise, because I've started taking him to places that I haven't been to for years, because I'm like, oh, well, you might find this place cool, or you might enjoy this band, or you might enjoy this particular restaurant or this shop, or that little things that you kind of forget to go to because you take them for granted because they're on your doorstep. Now, not only am I revisiting these places, but I'm sort of seeing it through his eyes as well, and being from a city that doesn't have so much going on in that respect. It's kind of renewed my love for Nottingham.
I'm kind of glad you've said it like that, because I was thinking today about a new question for the podcast, and seeing as you didn't read the questions anyway, I'm just going to throw it in there.
Go on.
So, someone comes straight off the bus or train, comes into Nottingham, sets themselves up in their hotel, walks out the hotel, walks into the bar that you're sat at, and says, where is the one place in Nottingham that I should go? Where would you suggest?
Oh, mate, I always tell them the Tap. It depends how they look, actually. if they look like us, like get down the Tap, you have to go there. But to be fair, I mean, I have to say that because I work there, obviously, but...
Well, you don't have to.
No, I know I don't. I'm just trying to be nice.
Bob's going to spit in my pint.
Mate, he probably does that anyway. I don't know. No, it's I do love the Tap. It's got a nice vibe. The people there are nice. It's a reasonably priced place to drink.
Yeah.
Other places, Nottingham Contemporary Gallery. It's free. And I think it's a great place to go and absorb something that you might not necessarily have gone to otherwise, but because you can donate if you want to, which is always a good thing to do. But it's just a way to get art to people that wouldn't ordinarily have bothered, maybe, I suppose. It's a lovely space, so definitely recommend going there.
That's really cool, and to be honest, I must update these questions now, because I think that is an excellent question.
That is a good question.
Right, do you want to tell us a story or myth about Notts, or something locally interesting?
Story or myth? The best myth? Well, I don't even know if it is a myth, Didn't they say that once upon a time, go to Nottingham because there's like 4 women to every man that lives here? So loads of people chose Nottingham as their university location because of how much chance they had of pulling.
Okay.
But I think
I haven't heard that one. But
have
that's
you not?
Cool.
Have you not? That's quite a common one, though. Oh, Nottingham, there's 4 fucking birds to every man there, I have not found this to be the case. Having almost exclusively male friends, I can tell you that it's not the case in my circle anyway.
I reckon they're all hiding somewhere.
Yeah.
They're all like cowered behind somewhere, just like curtain twitching.
Yeah. It's just like, they've all come here for us, and I hide it away. Yeah, that's And then obviously there's the argument about whether Robin Hood was really from Nottingham or whether he's from Lincoln or bloody Yorkshire now. That's cropped up, hasn't it?
Yorkshire?
They're trying to claim him now.
Oh, wow. Everyone's trying to claim
I
him.
know.
Wow. Do you know what? That is a brilliant myth, the first one, for definite. I'd never heard that before.
I can't believe you've never heard that.
No, I'd never heard that.
I guess because I'm from Nottingham, wherever I go, they're like, "Way, Nottingham, 4 lasses for every lad." And it's like, no, it's not true.
That's really cool. I really like that. So, what's your most favourite parts of Notts or Nottinghamshire?
What, like regions?
Yeah, well, a place. Name your favourite part. Oh, sorry, I said that completely wrong. Name your most favourite part of Notts or Nottinghamshire.
My most favourite part of Notts or Nottinghamshire? That's tough, man. I guess like Hockley. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on around Hockley. Still, do you know when I first started coming to Nottingham, there were lots of independent businesses there and alternative businesses there. You've still got Void and Ice Nine going strong, which I'm amazed that they've managed to keep going because, you know, everybody sort of got run out of Hockley.
Yeah, as you said.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, there were lots of... there was a company called G-Force that made the most ridiculous, gigantic trousers that you ever saw. Like, you know, like the big 90s nu metal flares that were just... made you look like a traffic cone.
I am so going to pull up a picture and put it on the show notes.
You have to do this.
Honestly, if people don't know what these trousers look like, my personal opinion... I think they were ridiculous.
They were ridiculous, but they were supposed to be ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing was the fact that when it rained, you were soaked to the knees because you'd absorbed all of the water.
Yeah, of course, you just like capture it across the ground.
Yeah, they were terrible.
It's almost as bad as the, what was it, the Adidas tracksuit bottoms as well that had the poppers all the way down the side. Oh, my word.
Oh, we're massively showing our age now. But yeah, there were loads of like really cool shops down there, and they went through this period of gentrification, and I suppose that still has happened. You've got loads of really cool bars there, but they're quite expensive.
And tea rooms as well.
Tea rooms, yeah.
I think I've been to a couple of tea rooms down there.
Expensive coffee places as well.
Yeah.
Coffee's big business in
Nottingham
now,
coffee.
you know.
That's what I kind of meant tea room.
Right, okay.
Proper English, darling. It's because I come from Henley-on-Thames.
Down south.
Yeah, down south.
No, I still think it's a really cool place. You've got like, the Old Angel became the Angel Microbrewery, which I still think is cool. It's not the same dirty punk venue, but you know, I have never been to the Angel and found a human turd in a pile of tissues delicately placed on a sanitary towel bin like I did at the Old Angel. So, you know, that can only be a plus point, right?
Wow.
I know. It was like the baby Jesus. Like the level of commitment that had gone to that dirty protest was just second to none, my friend.
I must admit, since it's changed, it has become a very, very nice place.
It's nice.
And I've even had food there, which I thought was amazing.
They do great. They do a great range of like for everybody as well. So like meat, veggie, vegan, the whole.
I was
covered.
just about to say that. Have you seen how the menus are divided into both halves, which is really nice?
Yeah.
Because I was sat there reading the veggie side, and I'm a meat eater personally. Yeah. And I was sat there like, yeah, this looks nice. This looks nice.
Sounds tasty.
The wife turns around and goes, "You're reading the wrong side." And I'm like, "Oh right, pork."
I do miss Alicaf though. That was
Alicaf.
The Alicaf.
Is that closed now?
Yeah, it's been closed for, I don't know, getting on for a year.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So the guy that ran Alicaf...
Shows how much I went there.
I think is his name Ben, who runs the Angel Microbrewery? I think so. He used to own Alicaf, and he was running the two at the same time, and then sold the Alicaf off, and I think it's become a Japanese grill place now.
Oh right.
Which I haven't been there. I think it's predominantly meat. I don't eat meat, so it's not really much of a pull for me. But the Angel is nice.
So you're vegetarian or vegan?
I am a vegan.
Oh, fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play. How do you find that around the town?
Do you know what? It's the businesses that you wouldn't expect to cater for vegans that are doing really well now. The vegan power is like a really strong thing. This movement is gaining massive traction. So all your kind of pub chains and stuff, they've started to incorporate vegan options. So it's not very difficult. Like Sheffield is definitely the mecca for vegan food. They have the best vegan food there.
Okay.
The guy from, I don't know his name, but he's in Bring Me the Horizon. I think it's the singer. He opened this place called Church Temple of Fun, which is like this massive, really fucking cool bar with like loads of retro arcade games in it and stuff. But they've got all the drinks there are vegan. They've got Make No Bones, which was part of a Sheffield kitchen, doing all this vegan food. Just a really, really cool place. Like normally, you sort of veggie vegan places are a bit more like hippy dippy, a bit sort of, I don't know, like not very polished places. Whereas this is like the business, you know, it's massive. It's owned by a rock star, for fuck's sake. There's a tattooist in there. It's a cool place. I'm plugging Sheffield, and I really shouldn't.
No, that's
Nottingham's the way
absolutely
forwards,
that's fine.
There are some great.
At least it's given me an idea to where I can take the missus for a day out. She's become vegan this year, so she really doesn't like the treatment and cruelty to animals. It's not that she doesn't want to eat meat. She says it's the fact she doesn't want to deal with
the conscience. Yeah.
For lack of a better term, the blood on her hands, I suppose.
Yeah. I was very much the same. I'd miss meat a lot, but I'm like, doesn't make me feel very good. So
no, that's fine.
The other way, but yeah, definitely take her there. She'll love it.
Cool. Okay, what is your most treasured musical object? And it doesn't have to be an instrument.
Can I say something really disgustingly sappy?
Cool. Go on. It's a xylophone.
That's my musician boyfriend.
Your musician boyfriend?
But I don't own him though, so does that count?
Well, okay. No, I think that kind of counts.
He's not an object. But yeah, I reckon I'm putting him up there.
Fair play. How long have you been together?
Not very long, coming up to 2 months. We've been speaking for a while before then, but it's going really well, so.
Oh, cool.
That's nice. And he makes some really, really cool shit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
As in,
he just
makes cool shit. Not like up at the old Angel. Cool.
Yeah, he's part of he makes really cool electronic music as a part of his True Ruin, it's called, and he plays guitar for a band called Damn Cargo as well. So
cool.
Got some.
I will stick the links in the show notes if you want to go check it out. Definitely.
And
what's the genre on that?
Which one? Damn Cargo?
Either, both. Well, both.
True Ruin, he calls himself lo-fi electronics, but I don't really think that gives anybody an indication. I said to him, you need to write a better blurb, Dave.
Well, I class myself as just a progressive artist, and I spend most of the time programming electronical shit.
Right, okay.
And then suddenly playing guitar over the top of it, and then adding in random voice vocals, so...
Sounds interesting.
I think he should just class himself as progressive.
Yeah, okay.
It's the way forward.
I guess it's kind of a bit close to Witch House, if you've ever heard any Witch House music.
No, I haven't, but I'm going to look this up.
Check it out, mate.
Yeah. I got
good.
audio evidence, obviously.
It's very cool, anyway. So, yeah.
Cool, and the other band?
Damn Cargo. So he plays guitar for them when they play live.
And they are genre?
Do you know what? I don't know what you'd call them. I'm just going to go with rock music.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know how you describe them. I don't want to say female-fronted because female-fronted is not a genre, but they are female-fronted. Oh, God, it's become the thing I hate.
I've had this conversation several times with people, and they turn around to me and they say, well, it's a female vocalist. And then they stop and they'll go, why did I just say female? It's a vocalist.
That doesn't describe anything either, does it? It could be singing bloody anything.
Yeah, exactly. Right, next question.
Go on.
Alt, rock, metal, or other? What got you into the genre?
What got me into it? What, band-wise, do you think?
Just take the question and...
Okay.
Let your imagination run free.
Right, so I had a really dodgy period of really liking Bon Jovi when I was a kid because of Always that came out. It's disgraceful. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. This is embarrassing. But, so that's kind of an aside, but I think that ties in much later. I fell in love with Jazzman from Babylon Zoo. Do you remember the Spaceman song?
Yes.
Oh my God, I was in love with him. I wasn't sure if he was a boy or a girl and I didn't care.
No,
he was just a beautiful, shiny object that I was in love with. So then, I don't know, fast forward like a few months later, I saw Brian Molko from Placebo on Nevermind the Buzzcocks, and I was like, oh my God, there's two of these beautiful...
I was just going to say...
Beautiful people, yeah.
Placebo.
With the beautiful hair. And I sort of reverse engineered the whole Placebo thing, because I saw him on there and was just like, asked my very cool friend at school, who's much cooler than me, Kate, who this guy was. And he was like, oh, he's a singer from Placebo. So, again, showing my age, I went to Beeston Library and hired a copy of their CD album, and then that was it. I was completely like smitten with that style of music. And then because I fancied Brian so much, anytime he appeared in any magazine, I would go and buy the magazine.
Yeah.
So that when Placebo started appearing in Kerrang or Rock Sound, I don't even know if Rock Sound still exists now.
I don't know, but I'd completely forgotten about that.
But you used to get a CD every single month with it without fail. So then I started hearing about other bands that were around at the time that weren't linked at all musically. People like, obviously, of the time was like Korn, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
The new metal thing was massive. And then the sort of 90s metal bands like Machine Head, Fear Factory, those kind of artists. So I started hearing all this music for the first time that I'd never heard before as a result of basically fancying this very pretty man. That originally came from the Levi's commercial. So it's like a kind of a weird progression, but I think my background with Bon Jovi, how embarrassing.
Do you remember the joke?
It's all fed in.
Do you remember the joke about Babylon Zoo?
No.
Maybe
I do.
See, I'm going to help. I'm going to help you now. Feel less embarrassed.
Go on.
What do you do if you see a spaceman?
Parking it, man. I do know it. Nice.
No, I love that period. I really did, and it. People say it's like the lost period, and it was a load of crap on a stick. But to be honest, like you said there, you got bands like Placebo come out of it.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about getting a Kerrang CD, that's where I found my love for Silverchair.
Oh, Silverchair.
Oh, serious. That
he was
band.
a pretty man as well.
Exactly.
Wasn't he?
That's
Daniel
why I
Jones.
thought I'd mention it. Because he was, and still is, just... They're a great band.
Yeah.
And I still listen to them even at work when I'm making XLR cables.
Yeah.
I just think, that as much as you had some really bad and really like dodgy one-hit wonders, you had so much other music that was just trying to burst through the top.
Yeah.
And it was the end of, well, I'm going to say it's the end of like the big record companies having control at that point.
Yeah.
And that's where they did make sure they said, well, we want this to be number one, and we want that to be number one. And then suddenly Mr. Blobby's number one for God knows how many weeks. And I think that kind of came tumbling down.
Yeah, totally.
So,
yeah.
So, seeing as you've said about a few bands, name your most influential band or artist.
Oh, mate, that's a tough one. Because I suppose when I consider influence, I think about how it's influenced me as a musician, and it's not necessarily a band that I would aspire to sound like, or even a band that I necessarily listen to that much anymore, but being a female wannabe singer in the 90s, no doubt, was really the...
Oh, wow.
Gwen Stefani really just like, at that age, I was like, I want to be like her, man. She's in the charts. Because up until that point, it was like, if you wanted to be a female singer, in my mind, when I was that young, I thought the only way to be is to be in like Eternal or Spice Girls or whatever.
Yeah.
And then No Doubt had their first number one record with Don't Speak, which was actually, I think, their third studio album, Tragic Kingdom.
I don't really remember.
They were very scarred before that point.
I'm going to be honest, I was very much in lust of that. Of Gwen Stefani.
She's a lovely lady.
But I kind of listened to their music all the time, but didn't really go too much into detail about knowing which album was which sort of thing.
I think they were doing okay in America, but the Tragic Kingdom, which was the album that Don't Speak came from, which is widely regarded as their sort of first album, that was what broke their career in Britain. And at the time I was like, so you can have commercial chart success, which as a young, slightly insecure teenager who just wanted to be a singer in an amazing band and have, the pop route seemed like the the route that I kind of wanted to go down. To see somebody who was a little bit different and kind of breaking the rules of what I'd seen. You know, she was pale. She didn't have massive boobs. She didn't have, you know, the hair that everybody had in the 90s. You know, the Rachel bob with the big swishy layers and stuff. She was just cool, man. And like, she didn't sound like anybody else. She was in a band with cool musicians. I was like, yes, Gwen, come on.
What look she did have. Like, she was still is stunning. Yeah. In my opinion. It's obviously not everybody's.
Her face is starting to look a bit frozen now. I saw some pictures of her recently. I think she's had some work done.
Well, yeah, some people get to that point, I suppose.
Know. Sad.
I'm not going to condone it. I'm not going to condone it, but I'm certainly not going to slate anyone for it.
No. Because she's still the ultimate rock babe in my mind.
Fair play. Absolutely fair play. I just think, like I'm saying about not condoning, not obviously slating for it, people just have to be themselves.
Yeah. It's her face.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't do that personally. But then I suppose I don't have my photograph taken every single day post the age of 40. I might feel a bit differently if that was the case. So.
Possibly. Right then. Name one thing you're excited about in the upcoming 6 months.
Right, you know what? I'm going to say download, but for a reason. So the thing that I was most excited about was Tool's new album, but I was promised by media that it was going to be April, and there's still no release date out for it, which is starting to get a bit tedious. Cause
how long has it been now?
How long has it been?
Since the last one?
15 years, 16 years.
So you expect them to not give it a couple more months?
Mate, if they don't pull it out this year, I'm going to personally go and track every single one of them down and drag it out. So obviously Tool are playing Download this year, and I'm super excited about it. I couldn't afford to do the whole weekend, sadly, but got my day ticket for that. So I'm very excited about that. But I was hoping that there may be a new album drop before then, but I'm like, I don't know, man, they're cutting it a bit fine. There's no official release date yet, so hopefully that'll be in the next 6 months, and that'll give me a double whammy of Tool.
Well, anyone that knows me well knows I'm really not interested in going to Download. But like that day that Tool are playing, I believe Dream Theater are playing, and there's a few other bands that are playing, and I'm thinking, well, one of the previous guests, Tony Leathers, that runs the Fun Times, Good Times karaoke, he actually said, believe it or not, you can catch the Skylink there.
Yeah.
And come back. And I'm like, I might be going to Download for the day.
I wouldn't try getting the Skylink back though, mate. It's that's challenging.
Yeah.
Everybody in the festival's trying to get it.
Oh, yeah. Didn't think about that.
The one time I tried to do it, we ended up having to beg my friend for a lift home because it was just like herding cattle.
Well, at least I know someone with personal experience now. Because I was saying when he announced this, I was saying, well, that's brilliant. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's easy enough to get there, but getting back.
But now knowing the getting back, it's might have to say to my wife, I love her a bit more.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. Let's really hope that Tool pull something out of the bag. I know it's another famous studio engineer, recording engineer, Sylvia Massey. Mm-hmm. She actually works alongside Tool and does a lot. And I definitely would suggest looking her up as an inspiration towards females in the audio industry. Because I think it was Tool that said they want to drop a piano from a big height and capture the sound for their album.
Right.
So she looked into it. She realised it wasn't going to happen. So they bought a piano, put it in the middle of a studio, mic'd it up, and gave them all sledgehammers.
Oh, good Lord.
So I don't know which album that's off, because I'm not the biggest Tool fan in the world, and I'm having people jeering at me.
I'm a pretty heavy Tool fan, and I'm not sure I've ever heard this, unless it doesn't sound like...
Tool. No, especially it doesn't.
I expected it to.
Yeah, no, it probably wouldn't.
Oh, that makes me feel bad, though. Something so beautiful. I bet it was like a grand piano as well, like a serious piano.
What I will do is I'll find the episode that she talks about it, and I've probably named completely the wrong band, but I'm sure it was Tool. I'm like 83% sure it's Tool.
83 and a half.
83 and a half. But yeah, I'll post the YouTube video, and I'll actually send you the link as well.
Please do.
But I'm sure it was Tool. Now, if you know Tool very well, I'm wondering if I got it wrong.
Maybe it just doesn't sound like how you'd expect it to sound.
Tune in for next week and find out the result.
Reaction cam.
Yeah, exactly.
Tara's disgust.
Right, I'm going to move us on to the last question.
Okay.
Which is, in your opinion, what makes the Notts alternative scene great?
What makes the Notts alternative scene great? I think it's how the music scene, the Nottingham music scene.
Yeah.
It's very diverse. There's a lot going on. We've got loads of great venues. Do you know, I was thinking, like, a few months ago, we hardly have any music venues left anymore. Or that's how it felt to me, because I've seen so many of them close. We had the Central that opened and then that closed. The Angel sort of came and then closed. It's starting to have gigs there again now. Looks beautiful inside. Sounds great. It felt like there were a lot of venues that sort of came and went in a very sort of quick succession. But then, like I said, dating somebody from a different city and then looking for things to do and then adding up what gigs they had every night, I'm like, there's actually bloody loads of music venues with some great live engineers and great management teams and great promoters and people that really passionately believe in the artists that they're putting on. And I think it's the heart and soul of Nottingham, is the music scene, in my opinion. That's what makes the whole of Nottingham brilliant for me, and that really impacts the alternative scene because, you know, they're all part of it, man. They're like creating the music that we love so much.
Yeah. As I previously said, hence why doing the podcast.
Yeah.
As I said, we're sat in the Sal, so I came in with my laptop about an hour and a half before to do some admin. But Jay from the Sal Jason Weston walks in and starts chatting to me, and I was asking him how he's getting on with his plans about the rooftop garden they're going to put up here.
Okay.
And it's going through for planning, and it's gone to the council, it's gone to listings, and nearly everybody's about happy with it for it to go ahead. And now I believe he said he's just waiting on licensing. So hopefully the Sal, by summer, will have a rooftop beer garden.
Oh, mate, that'd be great.
Can't wait.
There's so few like alternative venues that've got any outside seating. So, I mean, I kind of think, you know, was that pasty alternatives probably don't need to be seeing any sun, but
well, I do. I've got blonde hair.
Keep the goths out of the sun.
I've got long blonde hair. I need to get it bleached in the sun. Okay. So if I can do it whilst lifting a pint, that's exercise as well.
Yeah.
So blokes can multitask.
Two birds with one stone, fella.
Exactly. Right then. Thank you very much for this. Is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to, and anybody else I need to put in the show notes?
I don't think so. I can't think of anything now.
Well, I'm going to try and go through as much as possible.
Okay.
At least you've mentioned your other half, so he's not sat here going, well, you should have mentioned me. Christ, you're the treasured musical object, dude.
He's like, you're my shiny object. God, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Like, keep him in a little cupboard somewhere.
I hope you don't have a bunny. Right. Thank you very much for this.
You're welcome.
It's been an absolute blast. It's very interesting. As I said, I'm going to put on as much in the show notes as possible and expect a few more emails and me going, oh, who's this? Send me a link to that.
Okay.
But cool. I try not to do it during the day, seeing as you've got your new job.
So I can always answer in the evening, so feel free to pop me an email whenever, and I'll get back to you when I can.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Nice one, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Notts Rockers, for listening to NottsRockCast over YouTube. If you would like to check us out on your favourite podcast player, please search NottsRockCast. And don't forget, if you're on social media platforms, give us a like, give us a share. You'll find us at NottsRockCast. Anyway, till next time, keep it Notts, keep it rocks.
NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Knots and Rocks.